بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Continuing on our readings of the kitab نواقض الإسلام of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul rahimahullah. Last week we completed the fifth of the 10 nullifiers, which had to do with hating that which the Messenger ﷺ has come with and the rulings regarding that. And now we move to Asadisu, the sixth one, in which the author says, من استهزأ بشيء من الدين دين رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أو ثواب الله أو عقابه كفر والدليل قوله تعالى ولئن سألتهم ليقولن إنما كنا نخوض ونلعب قل بالله وآياته ورسوله كنتم تستهزئون لا تعتذروا قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم إلى آخر آية. So here he says رحمه الله, whomsoever mocks something from the religion of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what's meant by this is the deen of Islam, or the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the good deeds someone does, or the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who disobey or disbelieve in Him, then this would be disbelief, and He brings as proof the ayah in Surah Tawbah. And if you were to ask them, those who were mocking Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, then they said that we were only joking and jest. So say, is Allah and His verses and Messenger something to mock? Don't make any excuses you have disbelieved after you have believed. So this topic is connected to the last one in the last week's lesson, in that this is an example of disbelief. Because a person to mock the religion would mean a person doesn't have the requisite, the necessary ta'zeem, veneration for this deen. And we said before in the issues regarding Iman, that when it comes to belief and the deen and what a person worships Allah by, it's based on many things, and from them is the ta'zeem, the veneration. So we venerate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger alayhi sallam, we respect Him, we honor Him. We love the deen, we venerate the signs of Allah. So imagine someone comes then and he does some kind of mockery, sukhriya. He mocks that which comes from Allah, or the religion of Rasulullah came and practiced, or the reward of those who do good, or the punishment, or as we'll see later, the righteous themselves. Right? What's meant by that, marking them for their deen. All of this is evidence of disbelief. And so the scholars, when they talk about this, they say for someone mocking the religion, it could be the obligations, the recommendations, the dislikes, the prohibitions, everything that we know of the religion. This is disbelief. Or someone is mocking the reward Allah has given or He has established for those who do good, like the reward attached to praying the congregational prayers or giving charity. Or the punishment of Allah for the one who does a sin. So punishment could be here in the dunya, like a capital or corporal punishment for the one who drinks alcohol or intoxicants, or to do with the punishment hereafter. All of this is mocking the deen. The ulama, they mention disbelief. So an example would be Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah al-Mukhtasar min al-Fatawa al-Kubra. He writes, Al-Istihza'u huwa sukhriya. Al-Istihza' is another way of saying mockery. Sukhriya, to mock. And then it's when somebody uses statements or actions, whether out of in seriousness or in play, by which they are taking that which is known in the religion or that which is part of the religion or its realities, and they're playing with it, or they're saying things like this to get it away from its haqa'iq, its realities or its maqasid, its true intents. Then in reality this is belittling or mocking the religion. It means someone will take something serious like this salah and then make fun of it. Or say something about the deen, for example, something obligatory, and then say that it's nothing. Or something which Rasul taught us, and saying that it's a waste of time or useless or something like this, where this person belittles it, he's lacking the necessary veneration. And of course, the story behind this, the scholars, they show that the origin for it is a tafsir, and the sabab nuzul, the reason for revelation of chapter 9, verse 65 and 66. Ibn Jarir Tabari and Ibn Abi Hatim, rahimahumullah, they both narrate from Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, and the chain of transmission is authentic, that the reasons for this revelation was during the Ghazwa, the battle of Tabuk. There were some in the battle who said, or one of the men, I have never seen any reciters of the Quran, or I haven't seen anyone similar to our companions here, yani the people with us in the battles, which is Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba. They're the most eager to eat, the most lying of tongues, and the most fearful of the people عند اللقاء, when they meet the enemy. So here he's referring to هؤلاء, he said. ما رأينا مثل قرانائنا من هؤلاء. قرائنا هؤلاء. We never find someone similar to our companions here. Who are the Sahaba Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? ما رأينا مثل قرائنا هؤلاء. And then he mentioned these descriptions, which is the mockery. أرغب بطونا, the most desirous to fill their stomachs. أكذب ألسنا, the most lying of tongues. ولا أجبن عند اللقاء, and the most cowardice or fearful when they meet the enemy. So this man described them, and these men also who were sitting with them, they described the Sahaba and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam with cowardice, lying, and greed. So Auf bin Malik radiyallahu ta'ala said to them, you guys have lied, or this is a lie. And to the man who said it, and he said, rather, وَلَكِنَّكَ مُنَافِقٌ, you're a hypocrite. So I will inform the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about you. And he went and he told them. And the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he heard from him, he was riding onto his riding animal, his she-camel, and the man came after him who said those statements, trying to excuse himself, saying that we were just in making jokes and playing, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't respond to him beyond the verses that came down. Abillahi wa ayatihi wa rasulihi kuntum tastahzi'un. Was it Allah and His Messenger, Allah, His signs and His Messenger, which you were mocking? لا تعتذروا. Don't make any excuses. قد كفرتم بعد إيمانكم. You have disbelieved after having belief. Here we can see then, someone who is mocking the religion, then it's a sign from sifat, or the qualities of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. Because the munafiqun, in reality, they don't love Allah and His Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam wa sahaba. Yes, outwardly they pretend to, but deep down they hate. And so in reality, if someone were to fall into this is this belief that they came with, that they used to have. And when we say munafiq here, a real munafiq in i'tiqad, in belief, not the one who has certain qualities of them. Because to hate Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what they used to do, but mock them comes from where? Someone who doesn't have faith. Someone who doesn't venerate those who deserve to be respected, or the signs that deserve to be venerated, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah then gives examples in the Quran about the way in which they used to mock the righteous. For example, Allah says, and this is an example of that, وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِهِمْ يَتَغَامَزُونَ. And if they were to pass by you, so if they were to pass by them, the Sahaba and the righteous, يَتَغَامَزُونَ. And they would mock, and they would wink, and they would make these kinds of gestures, which is by way of istihzah, mocking. Which is an example of that, right? To mock them by way of actions, not just statements. So for example, righteous people will come and you say, look, these people who are misguided, lost, or some other statement. So the indication of your body is suggesting, right, that you're detesting them, you're belittling them. And what is meant by belittlement here, we have to be very careful, is that it has to do with their religion. As we'll see, it's to do with the deen. As for belittling a person due to other qualities, somebody being poor, or someone you're not liking the way that they dress, that is different. Because here it's to do with the deen. And so if you go back to what Shaykh al-Islam is saying, rahimahullah, whoever mocks بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الدِّينِ مِنْ دِينِ اللَّهِ, deen, right, religion. So clearly the munafiqun used to mock the Sahaba for their religion, nothing else. And describing them with these things because they don't love them. And so scholars, they say then, like Imam al-Sa'di rahimahullah, whoever mocks Allah and His Messenger, this is kufr, this is belief, مخرج عن الملة, takes someone out of the religion, because لأن أصل الدين مبني على تعظيم الله وتعظيم دينه ورسوله. For religion is based on venerating Allah, His religion, and His Messenger ﷺ. So whomsoever mocks something of this, مناف لهذا الأصل, denying this origin, مناقض له أشد مناقضة. Then he has come with a munaqad, يعني an opposition, and a kind of nullifier of the greatest term types. And if you think about this, then this is one of the examples a person cannot be excused for in terms of udhr bijahl. And we said this before, that cursing Allah and His Messenger ﷺ, or making istihza of the deen. This is one of the examples which the ayat and the hadith, they don't make any kind of any kinds of excuses for. لا تعتذروا. So an example would be someone who cursed Allah knowingly out of anger or play or jest. Is disbelief. And the reason why this is important to see, versus examples we covered last week or week before, here someone cannot make the excuse that they didn't know. Everyone knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His status. Everyone knows the religion and status. But more than that, the scholar says, because the person is not that he's been prevented by something. He has the absence of something. The absence of ta'zeem is missing, which only would be for someone who's a kafir. Versus the other example we gave before, someone who might have said something, or rule Allah revealed with an excuse or certain categories. These people can be excused because they're doing things in which it could be prevented if it comes between them and the kufr. Right? They may misled them or have led to their weakness. Whereas here the person is absent, he's missing something he needs. And then you find here the example of the person of the man who said this, the munafiq, he tried to make the excuses. I'm joking, I'm playing. It wasn't given to him. So scholars obviously put one condition: as long as someone, if he's mocking Allah and His Messenger or cursing them, as we'll see examples of that as well, that is something where a person can't make an excuse. However, if someone mocks something not knowing it's deen, then some scholars say if the person didn't know it was deen, then it's a little bit different. If he didn't have no idea it was deen. For example, we said last week someone hates the beard. If he knows it from the deen, imagine then that's the one case where someone didn't know. But if he's cursing Allah, His Messenger, Sahaba, as we'll see the examples of these, you cannot say someone is ignorant of it. Rather, this person comes with kufr, he needs to make tawbah. And so this is very dangerous, because scholars say if this is the reality of the situation, people who write about Islam, mocking the beard, or the thawb al-qasir, wearing a thawb to the middle of the shins, or the hijab, this is considered ridda. Some scholars say, many scholars say this is ridda. This is apostasy min ad-deen. Because what is a person doing by way of this? And think about it, in today's world we have many people writing articles. They're not talking about the person's character, personality. They're talking about the deen. Right? So for example, someone may say that so-and-so is this or that. This is individuals is mocking. But if he's mocking the deen, and that's why we have to be very careful in today's time, that we don't make our religion a subject of playing games. Especially in today's time with the YouTube and the social media, you find many people that we don't know what they're going with it. Right? So if this crossed the line already, you're joking about the salah, you couldn't find anything else to joke about. It's very dangerous. We have to remind the people the salah is not a joke. And we have people making jokes and trying to avoid it, stay away from that. And those people need advice. Which then the ulama say to divide this topic then into two types. And this is in relation to, if you want to figure out if somebody actually mocked the deen or not, or mocked the actual religion or not. First one, istihza'un sarih, clear-cut mocking. This is the example of the hadith of Umar. So these people were mocking the deen by mocking the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Sahaba, by attributing these bad qualities to them with clear wordings. And the second one, al-istihza'u, or istihza'un ghayru sarih, mocking which is not clear, it's indirect. So it's not clear wording, it's by either indication by the hand, or the winking of the eye, or writing. And so if this one, someone does it, indicating again the deen, or the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, etc., or the religion, what it came with, likewise kufr wa ridda. So it's not only someone has to say it, if it's clear indication, or unclear indications, or indirect indications from the hand, the body movements, writing, stuff like this. And the target, of course, is the religion. Then which leads to the mas'ala, the issue of someone belittling the ulama wa salihun, and the righteous, the scholars and the righteous. This one, there is some tafsil, it's some detail, across two levels. The first level, somebody mocking them, yani the righteous or the ulama, the scholars, due to their personalities, whether it be their character or their physical characteristics. Right? So how they look or how they behave. So they're attacking or mocking their shakhsiyat, the shakhsiyah of the person, the personality of the person. This is haram. Surah Hujurat, ayah 11. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la yaskhar qawm min qawm. O you who believe, do not mock, the non-people mock another people, asa an yakunu khayr minhum. Perhaps they're better than you. And likewise for the women. And the second one, when someone mocks the ulama, or the salihun, and specifically the ulama, because they're ulama, because they're scholars, yani they're mocking them because for their knowledge, the fact that they are people of knowledge, and what they stand for and what they stand on, of religious knowledge, هذا كفر, and this is kufr. Because this is tantamount or equivalent to istihza'un bid-deen. You're actually mocking the religion. For the ilm shar'i min ad-deen. So in today's time we have this. Some people might be mocking the ulama. Right? If it's mocking their personalities, this is haram. Falls into sukhriya, and this is prohibited. But if someone's mocking them for being ulama, then this is kufr. And for having knowledge, and this is very dangerous. And that's why we have to advise the people that if you don't agree with the ulama, the scholars, or something, the ulama have huquq, they have rights. And one of them is not only that we show respect, that we learn and benefit from them, but today we're in a world where people are mocking them, cursing them. And oftentimes you find the people who are doing that, right, their situations will be soon revealed, and it become worse for them. Because the ulama are not people to be played around with or to be joked about and laughed about. But this is very dangerous. So we have to teach the people the respect for the ulama. But if someone mocked people for the other one, like the person who's religious, has someone mocked you because of your behavior, then it's different. He's not mocking the deen, he's mocking you, and it's still haram. With that being said, then the ulama, then they turn this discussion then to the people who mock the Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. And this is very dangerous as well, because we know, as we saw in the example, that the one who did that, he disbelieved. Because he was mocking them for being the Sahaba and for having the closeness to Rasulullah or the fact that they are people who are companions. But the scholars, they give it in categories because it's possible someone may make sab, yani curse them in a manner which is haram but not kufr. And some of these categories, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions himself, and some of the contemporary scholars, Shaykh ibn Uthaymin fi Sharh Wasatiyya, and many other ulama, Shaykh Salih al-Shaykh Sharh Tahawiyya, they mention these categories. And of course, we should know the origins. You shouldn't even be going there. Right? That's the origin. Not to subbu ashabi, and don't curse my companions. So someone who's already going there is already in dangerous waters. So we need to teach the people first that you can't be going there. But if someone did say something disparaging about the companions, the scholars, they say that we must analyze what did the person say. Because the narration of the hadith itself, لا تسبوا أصحابي, it came in relation to what? Between the Sahaba, between Khalid bin Walid and Abdurrahman bin Auf. So if it was kufr altogether, absolutely, then this hadith's context wouldn't mean the Sahaba committed kufr. So scholars say that it's a wording, it's general, showing prohibition of the categories to show when it is disbelief or not. And we already saw one example of it. But the reason why we're saying that is that there are some people out of their ignorance or whatever else has happened to them, that they might have said something which is disparaging of the Sahaba. It's very dangerous. So we have to teach them that they shouldn't be saying that. So some of the scholars, they put into categories in order to prevent a person from making disbelief on someone without due right, but also a person to be careful that if they do something like this, that whether they're kafir or not, whether they're kafir or not. And the first of them, examples, is somebody cursing the Sahaba by connecting their religion or their way to kufr, or saying something in which necessitates kufr in relation to them. For example, somebody cursing the Sahaba for being the companions of Rasulullah, or religion, or people who are the companions themselves, or saying something about them and their faith, that their deen was wrong. So something which in it is a statement of kufr, then it's kufr itself. So Shaykh al-Islam gives an example. Whoever curses Ali, or right, claiming that right, he is God, right, this is kufr itself already. Then on top of that, he cursed him. So that's an example. Or another example, somebody who curses them and their religion and their reliability. Right? So someone curses them and their religion, their reliability. Or he curses most of them, if not all of them. Because this would belie the Quran. Someone makes takfir of all the Sahaba. Or he claims all of them or most of them to be people saq and wicked. A'udhu billah. A third example would be someone who curses them with something to do with their trustworthiness in narrating something, but it's not to do with their deed. Maybe saying that they made a mistake, or someone has these negative qualities, saying something about their personhood. This is haram, but not kufr. Right? So, for example, if someone brings some story, it's not authentic, and he narrates it about the Sahaba, very dangerous, because many of these stories are weak. Or he says something that the so-and-so Sahabi is not reliable, we can't take from his narration. Or so-and-so Sahabi is stingy. Right? This is haram, but it's not kufr, because it goes back to the personhood versus the religion. The fourth one, Shaykh al-Islam, he mentions someone who curses them with speech which is a curse which is mutlaq, it's unrestricted curse or taqbih. He says something which is unrestricted, we're not sure exactly what he's intending. This one, right, this Shaykh al-Islam mentions it with the kufr or not, but definitely something haram. And the reason why we need to explain this to people, some people, because they've heard stories or they've been told by certain du'at some kinds of statements about the Sahaba they may think are true about them, that someone may say something about them and he may be innocent, he's ignorant, he didn't know this is not true, or he didn't know that this is haram, the statement. That person, you educate them, tell them you shouldn't repeating those kinds of things. Versus what we find today of many of the Rafidah and those of their beliefs, that they make takfir of the Sahaba. Almost all of them except for a few. This is itself kufr. And this is why you find the books, the Aqeedah, about respecting the Sahaba, not making ta'an of them. And so if we understand this, a person should be very careful and educate the people about it. As for cursing Allah, His Messenger ﷺ, that this is kufr. And there's no excuse for a person like this. The permanent committee, they were asked about this question. They said that this is clear, kufr bawah, clear-cut kufr, binas wal ijma', by text and by ijma' consensus. And we already explained, because if someone cursed Allah and His Messenger ﷺ, it doesn't matter if he's angry, it doesn't matter if he has, whatever he said. And an example would be in some cultures they have as a habitual habit. And that is also not an udhr, as scholars say. And it's very dangerous. So some people, when they get angry, they curse Allah. A'udhu billah, these people need to be taught, but obviously this is kufr. But what we're sad today is that this kinds of things we find today, it's important that person, when we find this, you tell the person about the ruling on it, and then for them to make tawbah and to avoid ever saying something like that again. That's our job, because we know it's kufr, this statement, and people are also aware of it, because if someone who does this, what is really happening here is that person is missing the very foundations of religion. The ta'zeem that they're required to be a Muslim. A question also comes in relation to this. Someone sitting in a gathering like this, or someone sits in a gathering in which Allah or His Messenger or the deen is being cursed, are we also kuffar? And it will come later in relation to magic. And there is some detail. Sitting with people who curse Allah and His religion is haram. Because Allah tells us in the Quran, وَقَدْ نَزَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ, as we revealed to you in the book, أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُكْفَرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزَأُ بِهَا فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ. That if you're sitting in a gathering in which you hear the ayat of Allah, the verses and signs of Allah being disbelieved and or mocked, do not sit with them حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِ, till they change their speech to something else. إِنَّكُمْ إِذَنْ مِثْلُهُمْ. But if you were to do so, you'll be then similar to them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَامِعُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْكَافِرِينَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ جَمِيعًا. Allah verily will gather the munafiqeen and hypocrites in Jahannam altogether. Here the ulama, they divide this topic into two. And before going there, if somebody is in a gathering, he should get up and get out if he's able to. He shouldn't be sitting in there. Or advise them to stop that and correct them. That's our responsibility. Because sometimes you sit in a gathering and someone will say, I don't want to say anything. Why will you be in a gathering like that anyways? And those kinds of gatherings, if it's family or otherwise, and you know this, you should say something. Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be educating them. But let's say you can't get up, or let's say it's something where you're forced to be there, or someone in a situation like it happened. The first scenario, somebody's pleased with that which was said of kufr and mockery. Then in this case, إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُم, you're like them in what? In kufr. And Ibn Kathir, he mentions in his tafsir that a person who is pleased with that, what they're saying, and pleased with these kinds of statements and gatherings, not the person who just sat there, because we're going to see later some people, they mix between the person who's forced and the one who's pleased. And the one who half chance was in there and didn't know it happened, or it happened so fast, by the time it happened, he's already still there. If you're pleased with it, it's kufr, because Allah says, إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُم. And the second scenario is the one a person dislikes what's been said, hates it, and is against it, then he's not a kafir, right? And he should get up out of the gathering if he's able to. Otherwise, it's disobedience to be in that gathering. So Ibn Jawzi in his tafsir, he says, rahimahullah, for the person who, the second category, how is he resembling them? Because Allah says, إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُم. You're just إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُم. Then barely you like them. He says, you're like them fil isyan, then, disobedience in such a gathering, or disobedience like this. But if you're not pleased, right, then you're not kafir like them. Because the person sitting with the kafir, or sitting with the people who are doing kufr, without liking what they're doing or pleased with it, doesn't make you a kafir. As we'll see this later. This is very important, because not every time someone sees something, hears something, or sits in somewhere, that you become a kafir. It has to be with this condition, almost pleased with it. And with that being said, then a person should try his best not to be in such gatherings, and if he's able to, he should say something or speak up and to clarify it. But the idea of mocking the religion, in summary, the ulama, when they talk about it, Shaykh Hassan mentioned this is very serious, because religion has become to be respected and to be followed. So we have to be teaching the people that there are things that we don't play with, we don't joke with, we don't take lightly. And that is the religion. And if someone is going to joke, then he's already broken the rules anyways, if he's going towards this. If someone, for example, is upset, why would he curse Allah and His Messenger ﷺ? How is that an object to be angry at, or to someone to be angry with? And this is why you find that many people, because of their either bad tarbiyah or jahl, ignorance, or whatever else, when they fall into this doesn't negate the fact they fell into kufr, but we need to also be mindful that we teach the people that there are boundaries for everything in the sharia, because the deen has to be respected. And that's why when you find this, if at home or family or friends, our job is to be very strict with them. Very strict with them, to teach them this is haram. You should never go in that direction. If someone fell into it, he needs to make tawbah and repent, right? And to never do that again, to continue upon his tawheed and Islam from then on. And a person should also be careful that if a person that you know is like this, scholars then go to the next category. What is the relationship between you and them if the person is consistently doing this? So that's a serious issue, and of course it has levels between those who are far and those who are near. But an example of someone you know is a supposed friend who curses Allah, His Messenger, and the Sahaba, and the Deen. That is not a friend. That's not a friend to have. You have to avoid that person, because that person now is coming with the worst of what can be done. Not only is the person not practicing Deen at all, or is not even a Muslim, the person is doing it in front of your company, and you're rocking with them. And that's what we find today, unfortunately, that some people, they say, can I be friend with so and so and so? So the question should always be, what is your friend like? If someone is like this, how could you count as a friend? So we always have to teach the people that religion is the utmost important thing in our life. And inshallah ta'ala, a person, if he does that, he'll be able to guide the people. And that's what the ulama, they also talk about, this being one of the examples. Other examples being throwing the mushaf on the ground. We gave the example when someone knows it is the mushaf, etc. But this one is even clearer than those, because someone cursing the deen is very serious, very serious. May Allah give us tawfiq to teach and avoid these kinds of things that happens, and to also show the people the importance of the religion. Inshallah ta'ala, went with this much. Anyone has any quick questions or anything? Inshallah. Yes. Alaykum as-salam. Can I say it again? Somebody else? So even takfir is amr al-deen. If someone cannot be making fun of takfir either. Takfir is min al-deen. We make takfir of the kuffar. Ahl Sunnah Jama'ah, we're not against takfir. I think that's another problem. Some people think because we don't make takfir al-Khawarij, there's no takfir fi din. Amr min din. But what's happening today is that if some people, Allahu A'lam, they didn't maybe study the chapter about joking and manners and these kind of things, you find them, they make these memes and the other things, making fun of. Even Ahl Bid'ah, we don't mock them. This is wrong. And the dangerous thing about it is that Ahl Bid'ah, we're supposed to refute them as Bab Nasiha. That's advice for them. Today people are mocking the people and how they look, and at tomorrow Allah may punish you, become one of them. Because the way you're dealing with what kind of rahmah deen is that. So we have to teach the people, when it comes to affairs of deen, it's a red line. There's no jokes. Stay away from there. Because the first thing you're supposed to joke, the rules of it is only speaking truth. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I also joke, but I only speak the truth. And here someone's mocking the deen. SubhanAllah. So we have to teach the people, and that's why we have to spend a lot of time. When you find someone sends you something, or they made us share something, you stop them immediately right there. Say, ever send that again? This is serious. Because sometimes in the groups, people are just posting stuff, and you're wondering, and we've seen some of them, it's shocking. A'udhu billah, may Allah protect us. It's not good. And even if we say this person deserves to be humiliated, but this is not how the usulub of Ahl Sunnah Jama'ah is not like this. We want people to be guided. We don't want people to become kuffar. And so sometimes someone's misguided, he's a Muslim, right? And then you're making fun of him and saying he's okay, and you're making fun of how he looks. And this is very dangerous. So may Allah protect us, and we have to teach people, even takfir, amruddin, stay away from it. Right? Yeah, Allah A'lam, yes. Yeah, come on, example, akhi. So someone said something about the Shaykh like that? Yeah. That's the thing. Some of these statements, it can be, we don't know if it's true, but sometimes it can be by way of mocking. Sometimes it could just be he's trying to say you actually have a beard of a Shaykh. So it can be muhtamal, right? It can be. But the person, we have to be careful. But our job is that we also have to be careful. If someone says something like that, we gotta hold him to what he might have said, because it's possible someone might have said something that's not clear. And that's why that's the one where sometimes there's a gray area. We don't care everything be istihza. But if it's ghayr sarih or sarih and it's intended by it or it's clearly indicating that, versus something could be a praise or a criticism. Right? And that's why sometimes some people may Allah guide them. We know them better. They could be doing that, and some people, Wallahu A'lam, what they meant. So Wallahu A'lam. It depends on what that person is intending by that statement. Yes, Shaykh. So someone who fell into ridda, does it have to do ghusl like this and come back to the deen? Inshallah, tawbah is sufficient. But and again, if he does his shahada, he continues, this is sufficient. But scholars say tawbah is necessary. That's what's necessary. Sometimes we go far. Like a person did ridda is different than a person who is a new Muslim, who just accepted Islam. So the best we tell the person, the ulama, when they advise, someone fell into tawbah wa nadam al-istighfar, and also admitting the fault, and then never doing that again. Inshallah, he's back to Islam again, because he made tawbah wa tawbah yujib ma qabl. But the dangerous thing though is that a person, once he knows this now, from now on, if he, let's say he did it before, it happened to him, or he did it and he knew he was totally wrong. Now he make a tawbah, he has a remorse, and he doesn't admits the fault, and he never does it again, and inshallah ta'ala he goes back. Because most of the ulama, that's what they advise, but they don't always advise someone has to do the shahada and then do a ghusl, etc. Because it's sufficient, inshallah, because you did tawbah, you rectified the situation, you admitted the fault that you did. Inshallah, that's sufficient. Wallahu a'lam. Yes. Same thing. Someone shares a picture or something is mocking the beard. If he's mocking the beard, amruddin. But the problem is they could be mocking the way something may look. Could be somebody's beard. He put it in a way that's not the best looking. That's why there could be his personality. But what's dangerous, we said, in this area today, we have to tell the people this is not Islamic whatsoever. Islamic means where there's no such thing, right? Where you're taking a meme and you're making fun of somebody, salihun and the ulama. Today you find people, that's their deen now. The da'wah now has become memes. And thinking like, what is this? And you see, and then some of them, they try to respond and just say, we're going to mock the people of innovation. This is, look at khayr and sabiqun alayh. The Salaf, they didn't used to mock people. How are you going to give da'wah to somebody, make fun of them, right? And that's another problem we have today. You're mocking someone tomorrow, you want good for him. You don't want good for him if you're mocking the person. And it's scary because young people today, the biggest problem may be that they don't know the etiquette of the deen. Religion is serious. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not something joke. You have to teach people, don't send memes, stay away from those things altogether. There's no benefit. You're a grown man, you don't need to be doing that, right? And this is the problem, right? Today people sending memes, you're a grown person, you shouldn't be sending that. Yes. So someone come with anger, you guys are doing this, and the person may be intending by that, you guys are focused on small details and bigger issues. So it can be, depending on the person who's actually mocking it, but sometimes what they're saying is, what you're prioritizing is a mistake. But Islamically, we have to be honest and say that focus on is the siwak and these affairs of sunnah is from helping the deen. So this person, if he's saying it, to mock the actual teaching of it, versus he's mocking the person, maybe you're focusing on too many details, focus on the big issues. But we have to be careful. Those kinds of statements, it's good always to see clarity. What is the person intending? And the ulama have written also a lot about stories of people Allah punished them because they mocked the deen. And there's a good collection of those stories that someone can read also to scare the people. And the people who reject the deen or mock it, so they can find out that if someone were to do it, you're not safe. From Allah's punishment. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. Subhanahu wa ta'ala, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.